Hey, it's Lindsay, y'all. Here with another video in my new little phoning it in series thing that I decided to do tonight. Yeah, it's literally like not even a few hours since I did the last one. I should be sleeping, but I haven't been sleeping well lately anyway. So, why not shoot a video? And I was thinking about some stuff when I was letting my dog out earlier, and um, I actually did take some notes. I started to do this video uh, and I realized I'd forgotten what I thought about. So I deleted that and took some time and wrote out some notes about what I wanted to talk about, which maybe is cheating with kind of what I was doing with this phone video thing. But screw it. I get to make the rules because they're my videos. Still kind of raw, still kind of tapping into some deep shit. There's nothing fun in this. Um, Because, yeah, being trans isn't fun all the time. There's fun stuff, and there's euphoria, and I met so many amazing people by virtue of being trans and, needing to connect with community and resources. But there's there's a lot of shit. And my perspective is I'm coming from privilege. I spent the first 35 years of my life in a lot of privilege, not as much as some people, but I had that straight white male, successful career, married, um, not an obvious religious minority, even though I'm an atheist. It doesn't really show. Um, so I haven't had to deal with a lot of shit. And so while I have always had empathy for marginalized um, groups and people who kind of get shit on by society, I hadn't really experienced it as much. And I don't say that to like elicit sympathy or anything, because fuck that. I don't deserve sympathy because I was privileged and now I'm not. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that for those of you who do experience privilege and you don't understand the things that I'm talking about, I know where you are. Um, I've been there, and I'm not so much anymore. Um, yeah. So yeah, I want to talk about the shit we feel as trans people and the shit we put ourselves through. Is kind of general in some regards and specific in others, but you hear details here and there, and you hear sort of these sanitized versions of it, I guess. Maybe you've heard more. I don't know. I don't know who's watching this and who you've talked to. Maybe you've talked to me. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to talk about, is some of these shit experiences. Um, that I won't go on the tangent of like, this shit isn't a choice. Okay, I was born this way, and the choice that I made was continue living or figure out how I was going to die. No mincing words with that, because that's kind of where I was at. And that's where I know plenty of other trans people have been. That's the choice that we get, a lot of us. So, not all of us, but a lot more than you think. And too many people take the other side of that choice. It's a pretty high statistic of people who attempt suicide um, that are trans, and far too many that succeed. So yeah, it starts with the way we're made to feel. And some of might just be internal pressure, but a lot of it is based in society. Because our society is structured around norms and, you know, excuse me, not editing that. Screw it. I had Mexican earlier. Sue me. But it's centered around norms. Specifically, white, cisgender, heterosexual norms. And so, if you're not those things, even if you're not being told explicitly that there's something wrong with you, you feel like something's wrong with you. You feel inferior. You feel made to be inferior by society. And then you also have significant aspects of society telling you that you're inferior. If you don't believe that when it comes to trans people, go watch Disclosure on Netflix and open your eyes. If you're trans, it's hard to watch because it'll make you realize the things that you were internalizing, even when you didn't realize at the time you were internalizing them, because you were not even aware of who and what you are. Yeah, that's a fun one. But yeah, I had these feelings my whole life. And I didn't know what they meant. The language wasn't there. And what was there was, like I said, bad portrayals in movies and TV. So I thought I was crazy. I thought I was weird. I thought I was some kind of freak, some kind of pervert. I just generally felt like there was something obviously just very wrong with me. I was very different. I was some sort of deviant. And so I had all this internalized transphobia. And I still fight it. I've even recognized this week in some other ways that I'm fighting it. And I'm really trying to deal with it, but it's hard because you've been trained for so long to feel this way by society. You've been trained to hate yourself. And by extension, other people like you, which is super fucked up. And so you not only get the shame from what society's told you to feel, but then you feel shame for knowing that you feel the things that society has told you to feel. You feel like you've betrayed your people and your kind, I guess. Makes you feel like a bad trans. Trans is not actually a noun. Don't use it that way, please. Like I feel like my mind or my body or both betrayed me for this disconnect that I feel. Probably both. Current theories are, your your gender in your brain develops at a different point in development than your body does when you're still stewing inside your mama. So which one failed me? I don't know. My body or my brain? That's the tricky bit. Like, people have tried to change brains, and that's incredibly unethical and dangerous and ultimately ineffective. And you can't change a person's brain because you take away the things that make that person in that process. I mean, there's certain things that you can change about the way people think and the way they interact with the world, but you can't just fundamentally change something like that. So then it's my body that betrayed me. And it really fucked it up, didn't it? It's shaped all wrong. And because I didn't figure this out till later, I got to go through the whole wrong puberty. And now I'm going through puberty again, but it's not going to fix everything. And why do I do that? Because I've got fucking dysphoria. I have gender dysphoria because something's wrong with my body. And it causes me distress. And again, this is one of those things I didn't even know it at the time that that's what it was. I can look back on it now and I can see it, but yeah. Dysphoria is a real bitch, and most trans people understand that. I think it's hard for cis people to really get it. Like, you can understand it conceptually, but to really internalize it, I think, is hard. And then when we do realize who we are, we have this, like I said, we have a choice. We could continue with that normalcy. We have the semblance of it, because it's not going to be normal. You continue to act normal and go on as a normal person. Or you can do this absolutely fucking crazy thing, and you can try to be the real you and pursue your truth and living authentically at the expense of being ostracized by society and potentially your friends and your family, and losing your job and risking your safety and your overall well-being, and going through some of the hardest shit I've ever experienced. And I've only been at this for a little over a year, bitches. But maybe I'm weak. I don't know. And for some people, they don't even if they know they want to do it, they know what they want to do, they can't do it because of circumstances, because of family or work or other life stuff, or feeling like they need to do something to be prepared for it. So they wait. And this process is slow enough as it is. Like I said, I'm a little over a year in, and I have no chill. And I feel good about what I'm seeing, but God, I wish I could see more out of it. I wish I knew more of what was to come. And I don't. I have no way of knowing until I get there. And that's so frustrating. And I think it's still going to be a letdown when I get there. In some ways, it's always going to be a disappointment because it can't do everything. The hormones can't do everything. And especially when you're older, they won't do everything. And it's a crapshoot. Are you going to get this? Or are you going to get that? Well, I guess you're going to get a little bit of a lot of things. It's just a matter of how much. And I don't know. I do not know. So we've been let down by society because, we are made to feel abnormal. And so then that makes a lot of us either repress who we are or to hide who we are. And then when we finally get to the place where we can do something about it, the medical science isn't, it's fucking laughable. There are doctors that are doing great things in the field of trans care right now, including my doctor. I think he's fantastic. He's perhaps the best HRT doc in my city. And I'm really happy that I'm working with him. But he will be the first to tell you there's a whole lot of shit that we don't know. And there's a lot of this that is trial and error. And it's not like trans people are new. And it's not like taking hormones is a new thing. It's just nobody has really invested the time and the effort into it because we're such a small minority. Like, these meds that we're taking are not designed for us, Nobody's making medication specifically for trans people. They're just not. We're using stuff for other people, for other things, that we're making it work for us. And I mean, essentially we're all kind of experimenting on ourselves to some extent, some more than others, because some people are doing this on their own, DIY. And some people are seeing doctors who are really like bouncing around and trying different things to see what may or may not work best. And it's scary to think, like, it's scary, it's anxiety inducing to think that there could be some other technique. Like, maybe if I take my estrogen differently in this one little way, or tweak my levels, like in my blood, like this one little bit, and that'll be the difference between better feminization or like locking that door potentially. I don't know if that's the case or not. But we don't know. We don't know. There's so much that we don't know. But we do it anyway because this is what we have to do. There's literally no other choice. And the other thing that, besides hormones and that everybody talks about is surgeries. And I don't know if I'm going to do surgeries yet. I know I've talked about that. I don't know. But this is another thing where it's like, to outsiders, the shit looks cosmetic, right? So we'll start at the top and work our way down, as opposed to starting where I know you want to start. Facial feminization surgery. It's techniques to make your face look more feminine. In the case of trans women, obviously. Because some people have that, pronounced brow ridge that needs to be ground down, and they'll tweak the nose a little bit, and they'll work on the jaw, and, the forehead, and, sometimes you'll get hair transplants or whatever. Just a lot of little things, little touches here and there. And, like, I'm sure to some extent these are all techniques that have been pioneered on cis people who wanted to be prettier. Um, but for trans people, these are essential to their well being and their mental health. But it looks vain, I think, to outsiders. Same with breast augmentation. Like, a lot of trans women get get breast implants because, especially if you're coming at it later in life, you're just not as likely to get the growth that you want. May not even get fully developed potentially. There's different stages of development, and not all trans women get there. There are studies that I think really underestimate it, but there can be a lot to be desired. But again, you don't know until you know, until you get there. Um, but a lot of trans women just go for it after a year or two because they're not confident that they're going to get what they want. They've been told that if they don't have it by that point, it's not coming. And sometimes it's just like you just need it and you need it now. And that's not a judgment by any means. But it's another one of those areas. So for non-trans people, it's very much a cosmetic thing. I don't know. There are probably some doctors that talk about doing VA for cisgender women for their general overall well-being and mental wellness, but I don't know. BAs are a joke in the media a lot, and again, they are essential for the mental well-being of a lot of trans people. And there's some other little things here and there you can do. But then there's the other one, the one that everybody wants to talk about. Everyone always wants to talk about, which makes us feel great, by the way, that's what you want to talk about. You want to talk about our genitals like it's something that you're entitled to. It's happened to me too many times in the last year and will continue to happen to me for the rest of my life because people are fascinated by that. And that just makes us feel even more like a freak show. Just BT dubs. But that's another surgery that, God, that sounds like, why would you mutilate yourself that way, right? Because this is one that I guess, it's not just a shaving down a brow bone, it's turning an outie into an innie. As I've said to some people recently. And I feel the internalized transphobia, I guess, or maybe it's the shame or whatever it is at the thought of potentially having any of those surgeries. I do, because I am judging myself based on those unfair standards that society has forced into my brain. And that's fucked up. And like I said, I don't know if I want them or not. I really don't. And that's not just the shamey parts. That's just from practical perspectives. Not that that's any of your business, except that I've made it your business a little bit by talking about it. But yeah. But who is anybody to judge somebody for needing that? Again, this is a surgery that is essential to the mental well-being of the person getting it. These are all things that come together to make us feel less like the wrong gender, which is incredibly distressing. And we fully recognize that these things that we're doing only go so far. There are limits to medical science, even what we do know. And there are some limits that we may never be able to cross. And that's hard to accept for a lot of people. And that sucks. But that's our reality. I don't really have a good segue to this next point, so I'm just going to switch over to it. We hide for so long. We hide when we're not aware of who we are. And then when we do realize it, we still have to hide. I don't think anybody goes immediately from like, oh my God, I'm trans, to immediately like, I'm out everywhere. There's some measure of that double life, that feeling like you're lying to the people around you. And then it's super fun when some people come back at you with that, you totally lied to me. Like, I got that some. I wasn't lying to anyone any more than I was lying to myself. And then, when I was out to myself, living the double life, I was hiding. And even when I started transitioning, I was still hiding. You know, changes were happening in my body and in the way I was dressing, and people didn't really notice it too much. I did start getting to a threshold where people were going to start noticing my boobs. But I don't know, I was wearing bras that were kind of keeping them smushed a little bit and keeping them contained. Um, so I was hiding. And then even really early on, when I was starting to experiment with being out at places, like at a wedding, I decided I was going to be totally out and free and be me, because this was all through people that my wife knew. So everybody that I knew there was through her, and then by extension, those people. A lot of really wonderful, lovely people that I met there, but I was out. Um, I was out for all of that. Did people necessarily look at me and think that I was a woman? No, absolutely not. Did they think that I was some sort of gender non-conforming person? Probably. Did they know that I was trans? I don't know. But I was walking back and forth between that line of like, I'm I'm hiding and I'm not. Like, I untagged myself from many of the pictures that got posted on Facebook because I didn't want people to see me. Like, there's a whole period of time, basically from from you've got a good year or so where I didn't allow any body pictures of me to be posted anywhere, or anything that wasn't like from here up. And then I started a few months ago, like a little bit more, but like, I don't know, like a that a little bit maybe, but still pretty chill. And then it was literally only a few weeks ago. Has it even been a few weeks? I posted a picture of me in a dress on Facebook for the first time, which was like the first full body shot of me on Facebook in a long time. At least that I'm tagged in. Some of those pictures do exist out there, but I'm not tagged in them. And now, and I did talk about this a little bit in that last video, now I want to be seen. I want people to see me. I want people to see me for who I am. And maybe it does help that I'm starting to pass sometimes. I'm starting to get some of that joy from strangers. They see a woman, which is pretty awesome. But so I want to be seen. I want the people around me to see me. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to love me. I want them to embrace me for who I am. But who am I? I'm a woman, and I'm trans. I'm a trans woman. And I will always have that modifier. I will always have that little asterisk, you know? And that's hard because it makes it hard to not feel like an outsider sometimes. It makes it hard to feel like a woman. I get imposter syndrome bad. And I know a lot of trans people do. Sometimes I just don't feel good enough. And I will tell you, like when I am socializing with other women, whether they're cis or trans or a mix, um, it, and it just feels good. It feels great. I had tastes of that when I was in high school, even, socializing with just other girls. We didn't know I was a girl at the time, but I was still socializing with girls and treated like a girl in some ways and teased for hanging out with the girls. Fuck them. The haters, not the girls. The girls were wonderful and I love them. Um, but it's still hard not to feel like you're never going to be quite good enough. You're never going to be woman enough. And I know, like, please save me the platitudes on this. I've heard them. I know them by heart. I know you mean well if you're going to say them. Don't. I know it. I am a woman. I'm a real woman. I deserve to call myself a woman. Nobody can tell me that I'm not. Nobody can tell me that I'm not real, that I'm not valid. People will. Oh, God, they absolutely will. Fucking TERFs. Transphobic assholes. But I don't care what they say. Where it hurts me is when I say it to myself. And I do. More times than I care to admit. I'm working on it. I'm getting better about it because I'm looking good. Starting to look really good, I think. But will it ever be good enough? I don't know. The other thing I'm talking about feeling good enough for dating. Will I be good enough for anyone? I don't know. So I live my life wondering how people look at me. Some of them are going to pity me. Some of them are going to hate me. Some of them are going to threaten my existence, either implicitly or explicitly, and I will feel unsafe. On good days, I don't feel all of these bad things. I mean, on a perfect day, I don't feel any of them, but that doesn't always, I don't know if that ever happens, honestly. In 6 months or a year, maybe less, we'll see if I feel it any more or any less. From everything that I've heard, it never really fully goes away. A lot of this, it just lessens with time. So I'll learn how to manage it. I'll hope that it goes down to a level where I'm not crying as much. Because I do a lot of crying these days. It's not all trans stuff, but some of it is. All right, this turned out to be way longer than I intended, and I think my phone is going to gripe at me because it's too long. So, until next time, love and hugs. Bye.